hidden by the radio, only static in my ear. Wondering if the bands will bring the voice so clear. If a signal breaks on through, it will spark a Ragchew, fresh and new. Static fades and hopes arise. Silent air now fills with cries, waiting for that perfect sound when a contact will be found. Bands go up and bands go down. Sometimes smile, sometimes frown. And the bands are open wide, and I hear a voice inside. It makes my heart start racing true when I start a brand new Ragchew.
Good evening. Welcome to Sunday Night Ragchew, everybody. We got a big crowd.
Hi.
We got a big crew tonight.
Yeah, it looks like Chris is in the dark there.
Chris is
Turn
in
your
the
lights
dark.
on, Chris.
He was just have to pay his electric
The
bill.
lights went out.
Pay your bills. Oh, and
Wow,
then
he just left.
His internet went out now
man.
too.
He got
Okay.
mad.
Internet went out now.
There you go.
You guys offended him.
I'm
Nice.
back.
I guess.
Wow.
There you are.
No, I
We were
keep
only
getting
joking.
kicked out. I keep getting kicked out, so I'm checking my speed right now. And actually,
Michael's,
I'm doing pretty good.
Michael's probably doing it, Chris.
Yeah, who knows? I'm like, whatever. I got about an hour before I got to leave for work, so I figured I'd jump on since you started earlier.
Chris,
Well,
Chris,
awesome.
you know what
So-
it is? He keeps Chris, you keep getting franked by Michael.
Yep.
Yeah,
You know
Pretty
how
much.
Tim liked to drop me out? Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. So there's that.
Toot.
Paul, only I'm allowed to lose trains.
Well, when you're on, yeah, I've lost my train of thought. Thanks, Frank. Your fault.
You're welcome.
Let
Yep.
me go through some of the chat. Those in the chat here real quick. Let me scroll up. There's already a lot of chatter. Ham till it hurts. Let's see. Chris is in there. K2AUB. Hilly's in there. 45 Auto. Good to see you. Jimmy's in there. 45.
Wait. Who did you just call KA2AUB? That's Matt, not Chris.
No. Chris is he put something in after Matt. I'm just going down the list here. Let's see. Douglas is in. Kelly, welcome. KUFI, good evening. There's my thing. The Dupa, welcome. And I forgot what that meant. What does the Spock thing mean? Live long and prosper. I remembered. Let's see. James, welcome. Brockham Andrew, welcome. You're welcome to join, Andrew. Haven't seen you in a while. I did watch your video today, Andrew. Nice. The Brockham. Check his channel
Yeah, I
out.
watched that today too.
Let's see. Douglas. Don, good to see you. You're welcome to join as well. I know you've got some loop knowledge. She's on frequency L. Good to see you. You're welcome to join as well. She did a POTA today. IQ soda.
I tried to, but I couldn't get my 20 meters to tune up today.
I missed it.
We got Sean and Roger, and welcome, guys. I think I am caught up. Did I say James? Oh, Interstellar Starman, welcome. And I think I'm caught up. Anyone else that joins?
I think Chris is playing peekaboo today.
Right. He dropped out again.
I'm trying to understand this. I took the cell phone off the Wi-Fi. I've taken everything off I possibly can. I don't have the TV running, so there's no reason why my computer can't do this, unless my computer wants to be stupid. Mind you, this is a Linux
okay,
machine,
Chris,
not
there's
a
your first
Windows.
problem.
Just answer the
You're on-
question.
Oh, Hollywood, I missed you.
There's the first problem, Chris. You're on
Is it-
Wi-Fi, not Ethernet. You got to be on Ethernet.
I'm on Wi-Fi. No, you don't.
I'm on Wi-Fi.
That works for me.
Don't.
Of course, my router's right there.
Yeah, mine's
And my router
Right
is
now.
My router's
right there.
Feet away.
But I still use Ethernet.
And he just dropped again.
It's all
Oh,
right.
no.
Y'all
Yeah,
need to-
reboot.
Y'all need
Everyone's-
the Ethernet.
Everyone talking at the same time reminded me of L's pileup she had today is insane.
Well,
Yeah,
I just saw.
Right.
I heard it, but then she put a short out, and it's like page after page after page, front to back contacts.
I didn't
Yeah,
get I didn't get to work her today, but I worked Hawaii on 10 meters today
Nice.
in a
Nice.
photo.
Yeah,
So
I listened for a little bit and I could hear the pileup, and I finally got through. But then after the fact, I realized she had it live. I didn't realize when she was doing the live. Thank you, YouTube, for no notification. But yeah, then I watched the live. I only got about halfway through. Then I had to work on this PowerPoint. I like doing things last minute. But yeah, she had
live
and
until I'm streaming the net.
and then I saw.
like, oh,
Yep. And I was missing Sean's digitally speaking net live stream. Well, I caught the last maybe 5 or 10 minutes was all. But anyway, it was kind of cool that she's got guys that are calling her, and she was with I think someone in her club there. There was 2 of them, and when he would go first, there was a couple of the times they'd say, "All right, now let me QSO the one I wanted to QSO." She's got fans trying to QSO her already, so that's cool.
that's nice.
Well,
That's
she's
cool.
kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
No, Paul, you said PowerPoint
Yes.
once. You have to say it 2 more times for the smoke and ape to appear.
No, we
all
don't
know
want to
this.
draw ape.
No, Ape is coming in. I don't think I can. I'm trying to get him to join us, but I don't think he can join us. He'll probably jump into chat for a little bit. But
He's
Ziggy,
too
I asked
busy
Ziggy if
with
he
the
could
Hallmark
come.
Channel.
Hey, Scott's in there too.
Yeah, Ziggy is. Talk to him. He's unfortunately sick, so I can't
Uh-oh.
have Ziggy in. I know he's got a very big loop on his property, and I was really hoping he'd come here to kind of talk about it, but because I'm certainly not the lead knowledge person on loops, but I have used a lot of mag loops and familiar with those. So
Watch. As soon as I drop out in the next 6 minutes, Dawn and Ziggy will somehow magically come on.
that'd be nice. Where did Scott hit? Oh, I see you. There you are, Scott. Hey, good to see you, Scott.
Yeah, Scott's
I
down
just
there.
saw Jimmy's
Don,
response
you-
to him, and then I had to look up a bit.
Dawn, you hear
Yeah,
that?
Scott's in there.
Get on when I come off. That way it stays
Yeah.
continual 8 in here the whole time.
Yeah, just tag in.
What 45 said is exactly right here.
Only
Yeah,
8:45.
yeah.
I think you're a little short.
Yeah,
That's when you get the best advice out of him.
4, 5, 8 times 8 squared is where he's probably at right now.
Let me minimize this just a little
It's
bit.
Doug's turn to play peekaboo.
Oh, he's already done that
Monitor here.
twice now, Michael.
Yeah, Doug is the one that makes sure we know that we're still on the internet because he comes and goes, so we know we're still.
He just did it again.
There he goes.
As
Oh
you
my
said
God.
it. As you
Okay,
said
let me
it.
try to click
Nice
you
job,
one
Paul.
more.
You know,
Come on.
Don, don't you have a loop as well? I thought. I know you got
He's got
that
a
Delta
big
loop,
Sky loop.
or is it Sky Loop? Delta Loop? He's got one of those.
I think he's got a big sky loop.
Yeah.
Goes all the way around his property.
All right. Well, you know what?
Attenuated.
Let's. We're gonna have tonight. We're gonna have a hard stop at 9:30 Central. So we have an hour and 20 minutes about from now. And then this is going to push you over to Frank's stream. It's 9:35. So we'll try to end so that it pushes you over. And
Where's Frank?
automatically. This would be Frank
Me,
Wilderness,
Frank.
the one that dare
Incognito Frank.
that dare not show his face
Yeah,
in stream
incognito.
anymore.
So what it is?
He's just
is-
jealous of the beards.
Sure.
Here's the
right,
problem.
Right.
Here's the problem. Frank was first to kind of join me as a kind of a guest and then a kind of a co-host in the beginning. And then his job changed and all that. But now what it really is, it's not his job. It's that he charges too much for me to have his face on stream. So it's too much money. I can't afford it.
Now he's just a talking symbol like me.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to figure out how to make. There was a way that I could make an AI avatar and I could decide whatever it was and replace their video and just go and mouth whatever their audio was. I would love that. I know I can do it for me.
Okay,
Just-
I'm
just
having
have
fun with
me-
video.
As the South Park Canadian head in my square, just yapping away. Absolutely, Paul. Do it.
Hey,
it.
Jordan,
You
good
can be
to
one of
see
those detached heads like the Canadians in South Park.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Canadians are
The Canadian. I didn't catch the Canadian part. Sorry.
Yeah, but you're in California, so you're a little behind, Frank.
So what
can
I'd
get
like
your
to
audio
do,
right
Canadian square.
I went ahead and made a slide, a PowerPoint to just kind of go over, and then
Sweet.
I want it to be, and then I want it to be a discussion. I want it to be people's experience with loops, what works, what doesn't work, both in the chat and those of us live streaming. And then, and that's what it's about. I bring up a topic, I say my piece, and then we chat about it. So,
Well, Paul.
oh
Before
yeah.
Before we get to loops, the whole reason
Yes.
why I'm here right now.
Oh, that's right. You need to say your thing real quick.
Yeah. So not only do I have the live stream, the Let's Listen Overnight live stream, starting this morning at 9:30 Central to noon, there is the Coffee Break Net on the W6EK repeater here in the Sacramento area. I have that set to live stream every single morning. I have a family member at home to get it up and running, and they sit there and they watch things and make sure everything's good to go. So every morning, come on by, and there's All-Star and Echolink connections, and Wires X connections. Funny, Scott. Funny. Very funny. Yes.
And
Canadian,
now,
California,
and now
same
I get a
thing.
refund because I let him say that. I get a refund for having his voice on channel. So I
Frank's
appreciate the
getting paid.
refund.
Yeah,
What's up,
exactly.
Chris?
I agree with Bricker. Frank's getting paid.
Yeah, question mark, question mark, question mark.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen a W2.
I'm getting
We'll-
paid the great sum of
He goes to I-9.
$0.00 per minute.
Oh, you got a
Mike
raise.
ID.
With that, with
Thanks,
that,
Frank.
I hope everybody enjoys my live streams that I'm doing. It's random and rare, but hey, they're working out. I will catch team replay of your live stream tomorrow, Paul. Later.
All right. Be safe out there.
Later,
Watch your
Frank.
caboose.
He gone.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, Nightcry. Good to see you. So here we go. Let's do it. Big and me.
Oh wait. It's
An
time
idea,
for the
little
net
bit.
in 15 minutes.
The net?
For the
Or the
live stream in
stream?
15 minutes. That's
All
about 15-minute warning. Okay, give me a second.
All right. So let me share screen and let's go here. Stay in the loop. Can we put ours on the side? Do the other one on the side.
All right. Bing.
Wow, why is it so small?
First one was better.
I
No,
thought
I like the first one better.
Yeah, first
it'd
one
be
was
the same
fine.
side. Maybe it's better if I let me do this. It's probably better if I just share that screen. And then I think it'll be I think then we can do it. Is it popping up?
There you go.
There we go. Now do the side one. Does it still shrink the size of the screen? I guess it will because it's landscape.
Well, there's two different versions of side. There's the first one, and here's
No.
the second one.
No. Okay. Yeah, go back to the other one. It's fine.
Well, we also have this
Um,
one here, the other side. Let's see
That's
how
fine.
that
If everyone's in the way, that's actually better.
does. Okay, there you go.
I don't see everybody, but
Musical chairs.
That's okay.
do the
Well, if somebody talks, it'll shift the photos.
do the other one with all of us on the bottom because none of my stuff is really on the bottom third of the slides. Yeah, this one will probably work.
All right.
Now let me get to my
Wait.
PowerPoint. So let's see, I need this one right here.
You're
What's that?
showing your PP.
What?
What?
Whoa.
PowerPoint.
Oh.
There's another YouTuber. He calls it his PPs. He's going to show his PP.
All right, let's
wait, every
Michael,
video.
let's clean it up.
He's believe it or not, he is a legal analyst channel. Believe it or not.
Interesting.
All right,
So I guess it's okay to say on YouTube.
tonight, as you all know, we're going to talk about loops, and I have creatively named this PowerPoint "Stay in the Loop." So let's go ahead and start with the first loop. So first of all, there's basically three loops. There's a third loop, a back. Oh, wait a minute. That's my other PowerPoint. That's for my crochet class. There we go.
Didn't
Okay.
know we had crochet class, but okay.
We'll do the crochet loops next.
We'll
So-
do the crochet antenna later.
What is A loop antenna. An antenna that is using a continuous conductor that forms a closed loop, forming a circle, square, triangle, or rectangle, and it moves the current continuously around the conductor. How does a loop work? The current flows around the loop. The current produces a magnetic field through the center of the loop. The changing magnetic field creates an electromagnetic radiation. We'll talk about those radiation patterns in a little bit. And it transduces magnetic portion of the radio wave rather than the electric. And that's a key part. But one of the big pros of using magnetic loops. I just heard a chime. What did I
I
miss?
just heard a ding, and I don't see what it is. Gone through the chat.
Usually that means somebody became a channel member.
Or they posted their membership milestone.
Yeah, but I didn't see it in the.
I
Yeah,
didn't
don't-
see nothing or anything.
in the chat.
I don't know
It's a
why.
mystery sound.
It's
Oh, wait a
Okay.
minute. Colin posted way up in the chat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen.
yeah, he became a member. Thank you, Colin.
Became a member or a milestone? What did I miss?
There's 11
Member
month
for 11
milestone.
months.
Oh, okay. Welcome. So, congratulations. You got one more month there, Colin. And I'll get you that T-shirt. Okay. Back to the the antenna loops. So, this is a key benefit of using magnetic or loop antennas is because it transduces the magnetic portion of the radio rather than electric. And then for those who don't understand, I remember Ape did a really cool, and there's lots of videos out there on how the electromagnetic wave works. So this one was a good one. So I just pulled this off of one of the college university sites. And so basically in your radio wave, it's an electromagnetic wave. So it's made up of electric and magnetic waves. And so the E on this is the electric wave, and then the B is the magnetic wave. And so what a magnetic loop does is it harnesses, basically, the way I can understand and easily explain it, it harnesses the magnetic portion and kind of doesn't pay attention to the electric portion. And why that's good is, and I'll talk about it here in just a second, the electric portion is where you get a lot of your man-made noises, LED lights, generators, things like that. So a magnetic loop can get rid of the noises while still harnessing the sound that you want to harness. So the types of loops, or the first loop is a full wave loop or a full loop, and they're usually one wavelength or more. And this is why I wanted Ziggy on. He's got just I forget the length. I want to say Hollywood might know the length. It's like 300 feet or something. And he's actually able to move and tune it the way he's got it set up. But that's why I wish he could have came on. But anyway, so as an example, a 280-foot loop would be an 80-meter full wave loop. Full wave loops are very efficient transmitting antennas. They can be horizontal or vertical. The radiation ones I'm going to show today for radiation patterns are going to be vertical. They're very effective for multi-band use. Similar to a long wire, right? The longer the wire tends to be more effective for multi-band. You can do permanent, semi-permanent capabilities, and it's low cost, big results because most times it's the cost of wire, and then you put it up if you have trees or whatever. We're going to go into the other type of loops. So we're just going to categorize it as small loops, and the loop circumference of a small loop, which predominantly we're going to focus on magnetic loops, is usually less than 1/10 of a wavelength. It's got low radiation resistance. It has highest circulating current, and most smaller loops, but not all, are used for listening. A lot of people use them for listening. Some people, when I first started getting into mag loops, thought I was kind of being ridiculous. And they would tell me, "Well, loops are just used for listening." Well, that's absolutely not true. So a mag loop or magnetic loop can also transmit using a tuning capacitor to create loop resonance on the frequency that you're wanting. Just stop me if there's a question or a comment that's relevant, Michael.
Yeah, the only question was, how much real estate do you need for some of these, or who has this kind of real estate?
Well, some people do. I know Don's got a lot of people are on property, and
Yeah.
if I had my issue is trees. If I had 2 trees in the back, I could make a delta loop 25, 30 feet in the air between the three trees. So,
So
and
you can make one.
I'm on
Go
about
ahead.
8,000 square foot piece of property, which isn't very big.
So for only 525 feet, you're going to have a 160 loop.
Yep. So,
Only.
so let's look at the mag loop, and this is one because this is the one I use mag loops. I love mag loops for travel, for POTA, and all sorts of things. It uses a tuning capacitor for resonance, so it's got the tuner basically built into the antenna system. And on the antenna, I'll show you in a bit. The alpha antenna has it. Chameleon antenna has it. Loop RF Loop has one. I mean, there's a bunch of them out there. They'll have a little knob on it, and you'll tune the capacitor that's inside the box for the frequency you want. It's got its maximum radiation is broadside to the plane. It's got deep nulls off the sides, so think of it as a donut. We'll look at the radiation pattern later, but those deep nulls are through the donut hole, basically. You can rotate it very easily to reduce interference or make it a directional antenna. And it's a very high Q, which creates a very narrow bandwidth, but also because it's high Q with that narrow bandwidth, it cuts out a lot of the noise. So it's actually a pro for using it.
Okay, just a little clarification on the deep nulls.
Yes.
When you're looking at the circle and you're seeing a circle, that is not the null. It's off to the side of that. Is that correct?
It's through the hole.
Through the hole, there's a null.
Yes.
Okay, so it shoots off sideways from the circle.
So yes, it's
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll show you on the radiation pattern, and then once you see it in
That's what I've been
3D.
waiting for.
Yeah, we'll see it it's a lot easier. I wanted to bring this one in really quick because I do a lot of MCOM. That's kind of my focus and what got me into ham radio. So for emergency communications, mag loops are very effective, especially if you don't have a lot of real estate or space or want a quick setup. And you can reduce the man-made noises. So if you're in a situation or in a city, there may be a lot of electrical noises, LED noises, different noises in an EOC. So it reduces the noise, power lines, generators, LED lights, etc. So it's got a lower noise floor. It's got improved weak signal copy. It's an easy directional control. It reduces the QRM from a specific direction through those side nulls. It can be horizontal or vertical. I've used both. When I use it out of a hotel window, I actually use it horizontally because it lays flat, sticking out the window, and works great. It doesn't really help as far as noise reduction because the nulls are up and down on the side of a hotel. It's not really cutting any kind of noise for me, I don't think. And you can transmit with lower power. It has no additional tuner needed because, again, it's got the capacitor built in. And this is a really good thing about the smaller mag loops is they're compact and very easy to deploy. I've seen a lot of people do videos and photos using them for soda. So they're hiking them up mountains because they're not really that heavy. Don's here, the infamous troll. And you can lower power.
Done.
So we've got, it's a good HOA solution for people that can't put up an antenna. Some HOAs are stricter than others. So if you can't put up a wire or a vertical or even a flagpole antenna style, this has a small footprint. You can set it up on a tripod, a table, a balcony. You can deploy it and remove it in minutes. So you can literally go out one morning, set it up in 2 or 3 minutes, transmit and take it back in. It's lightweight, it's portable, it's multi-band. Many of them are multi-band. Some of them will be split like 6 through 20. And then you got to add another element to go 20 through 80 or 40 through 80. You can operate indoors as well as outdoors. And again, it works great in low power. There's one thing I want to mention before we get into radiation patterns, and then we're gonna look at some radiation patterns, and we're gonna open it up and just start talking with each other about it. So, mag loops, when they're on a desk, on a table, down where it's within reach. Especially if you're going over 10 watts, you want to again be aware of radiation. You don't want that too close to people. So if you're going over 10 watts, I would suggest putting it out at a distance. Of course, then you're going to have to tune it, reconnect it, and then walk away. Again, you don't want people being near it. You don't want to touch it when you're transmitting, like any antenna, especially over 10 watts. And if you're building it or like Chameleon sells a build kit, if there's the capacitors that are being used inside, they need to have the proper rating. So so some loops have power ratings, and it depends on the capacitor, not the coax being used. So you got to be aware of capacity. And people build loops. There's a lot of examples online of people building loops. You purchase one of those capacitors and attach a wire and build a loop. There's a lot of DIY examples on the internet. So let's go through a couple of radiation patterns and then start talking about it. Why didn't that move? Okay. So the first one I put up is a full loop multi-band antenna. And this radiation pattern is for 7.1 megahertz. This is a delta loop. If you see that turquoise, you see this turquoise, can you see my mouse?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. If you look at the turquoise, that's the antenna. So that it's a delta loop with the flat side down. It's vertical with the point going up. This example of the radiation pattern on the left is a ground example. This I just put in as if it had the perfect ground below it, okay? Because I don't want to mess with grounds, and everybody's location is going to be different. The one on the right is the same antenna in free space. This is up in the air, no ground, nothing, no effect from any kind of ground. Just to give you an idea of how it radiates. It's kind of like a mirror. But you can see here how the propagation patterns go. This is a decent angle actually for DX, and you got some angles as well for that would be great for some DX, but also regional NVIS. And that is a delta loop, a full-size delta loop multiband. So this can be tuned. I believe this one was 10, or maybe it was 6 through 40, I believe. The next one is a 20-meter square loop. So you can see the square here. The other one was triangle. This is a square. Again, this is with ground, with the ideal ground base below it. You can see a good radiation pattern here for DX on both of these. The null goes down the middle on this. And then on the right side is in free space. So kind of reminds me somewhat of a dipole, right? But you can see kind of how it operates down here where the feed point is in kind of that donut pattern out two directions, not so much up, which is the same on the left. You see that null here. So this is not shooting straight up, not good for NVIS. You can see that in both radiation patterns, but it's great off the sides, off the plane of the loop, which is in this case, you see the left and right, and the null is here through the bottom radiating element at the feed point. So if you want to look at the 2D version, this is actually taken from the Alpha Antenna website. So this is the side view or the vertical, and this is a vertical elevation pattern. So this is how it looks when I use my Alpha Antenna mag loop. If I have it setting on a desk in a vertical format. So you've got your 3 radiation patterns. These are 3 different frequencies, and I didn't put them in the screen, so I don't remember which is which. And then this is a top-down view, so you can see that figure 8 pattern. So the antenna is a line down here. It's this line. It follows this line. So as you can see, through the I'm sorry, it's the wrong way. It's the 270 to 90. It's this line right here. So you can see that the radiation pattern goes with the plane of the wire or the loop, and the null here where you can see the dip in the blue, the null goes through it. It goes through the donut hole. So some people like this visual, some people like the 3D visual. I just wanted to get you out the basic visuals, and we can pull up Manigal, and I can throw in something, we can play around with it. But that is the basic information on MagLoop that I wanted to get out. So let's discuss MagLoops.
So Hollywood mentioned something earlier, and I posted it on the screen. He said, might want to discuss radio station HCJB located high in the mountains of Ecuador and why they went from a Yagi to a loop. So anybody have any insight on that one?
Well, Hollywood, I'm assuming Hollywood does.
Okay,
Hollywood, you can join us. I'm curious about that now that you mentioned it.
Oh, wait, you know what? I'd need to get him the link. And I don't know if I have contact. I can give
I'm
you
really
I can give you the
interested in
link on
knowing.
email, Hollywood, and then if you want to join, feel free.
Because I am interested in hearing that.
I'll pull up here in a second some loops that I know that I've used. Predominantly alpha. I have Chameleon as well. That one did not work very well for me on a winter field day. Okay, I'm just going to email Hollywood, then if he wants to join it, he can join. He's a plethora of knowledge in all things radio and antenna and everything. So
I still have no clue what he looks like, but
it's all part of the mystery.
it's that radio voice mystery. Welcome, Julie.
Yeah, Julie's saying she hopes she's feeling better, Paul.
It was just the one day, unfortunately. And then I thought about going one day less, but then I'd have to buy rental car. I have to pay for everything else because you don't get refunds and they don't hold everything for you.
Okay, Frank said he sent it to Hollywood. Hollywood also says he has a URL for the story.
Oh, okay. I sent it to him if he wants to join. So
Interstellar is saying, when are we going to talk about money for a small loop? Building one should be that expensive.
I've not built one. So that's a good question. Has anybody built one?
I know people that do, and they are extremely expensive. And it's because of the capacitors that you need for tuning.
Yeah.
Those are hard to come by. And I mean, if you're going to build a loop like that, it's going to be QRP. I don't do QRP.
Mm-hmm.
This friend of mine built one of the big copper loops, and his biggest expense was ordering the tube that he used in the as the capacitor for the tuning knob, and that order from Russia. So that's where you run into the expense.
Yeah.
And by the way, the loop that I run is a delta loop, not a mag loop, and that's one of the reasons mag loops. They're typically, you want to be the max I've seen is like 100 watt delta mag. I've not seen one that goes up to a kilowatt.
I can't imagine what that capacitor would cost.
Yeah, the deltas are much easier.
The size of the loop.
It's the amount of power you're putting through it.
Yeah.
Getting up to even to 100 watts is expensive.
Do you have your photo again of the Delta loop? I probably could pull it off of Discord. But I know you sent it to me a while ago. Yeah, the Delta loop, like if you got the space for it, if I had the space for it, like I said earlier, there were trees or something, I would have a loop up in the air, period.
Deltas don't have to be big. I actually had created one, and I've used it a couple of times on POTA, that is just, in fact, it was inspired on one of your videos where you showed that little thing that you bought from AliExpress.
Oh, yeah, the listening one.
Yeah, the one that had two deals going up.
The two whips. Yeah.
The two whips. Well, the one that I have, it's 23 feet tall. It's a huge loop.
Yeah.
And it has a 23-foot deal. I've got it way out in my yard. That is basically when we do those, I say we anyway. They feed them from the bottom, and that gives you a vertical takeoff angle on the loop. And then, as you alluded to earlier, it's dead quiet. I actually worked Callum, and I have a difficulty in working Callum in the best of times, and I have not worked him yet with my hex speed, but I was able to do it with that Delta loop with 100 watts.
Welcome, Hollywood. Thanks for joining.
Hey, good evening.
Welcome. I
me-
kind of like Xanavi's make it static for 7.2.
Let me show you real quick. This is Don's Delta loop that he's talking about, just to give you all an idea of the type one, because the one I showed you was a triangle. And so this is one you can make. I mean, it's not expensive. You can make it very cheap. And this one would actually even fit in my yard. I wouldn't be able to leave it up because of my HOA, but I could I have one from Chameleon. I don't think it's going to be as effective as this because this is a bigger and taller one. But it's the same concept. It's 2 whips with a wire connecting to the top.
Yep.
So you could very easily make this, and Don will be on online all night long explaining those who want to. He'll continue till 6 a.m.
Well, I don't mind talking to people for sure, but yeah,
I'll be here.
I just wanted to show that.
I'm tad under the weather, so probably.
So Hollywood, welcome, and I always love having you on. What was it you were talking about? What was this about this radio station? Let me scroll back up and see.
Okay, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, perfect. Okay. I wish I could send the link, but if you Google HCJB, there is a full story that I don't know who did it here, but it basically the synopsis is this: in the 1940s, there was a shortwave radio station with those calls, and it was in Ecuador, and it's up on the mountain, and the air is very thin up there. So what happens is when you push big power through a Yagi or a dipole, the voltage at the ends is extremely high. Okay, so if you're up on a mountain and the pressure, the atmospheric pressure is low, you're going to have more corona discharge at the ends. And when you push big power, that corona discharge burns the ends, and eventually the antenna gets shorter and shorter and shorter and out of resonance. And this was exactly what happened to this radio station. This was a shortwave broadcasting station. I think it was a relief effort. Anyway, it doesn't matter. 10,000 watts, what it says.
Yeah, I've got one picture. I don't know if this is. It looks like a frame of a high altitude balloon. 2 of them sideways. I don't know if that's the picture you're thinking of, but
no, I'm again. I wish I could send you the link, so we could just bring it up on the screen.
Yeah,
you can drop it in the private chat here.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Bottom left there.
Let's see where the private chat is here.
There it is.
Bottom left.
Bottom left. Okay, got it. Okay, here we go.
It's all right, Hollywood. I never see it either. It's behind my mic, so I don't even see it when people are texting or messaging
so
me.
You've got it now.
I got it.
Yeah.
All right,
so what the engineers did was they created a cubical quad. So a cubical quad, as we all know, is a full wave loop.
Yep.
Right. It's a quarter wave on each side.
Oh, that's not it. It popped up an ad, so I looked at the wrong window. Let me get the right one.
So as a result of having a quad, you still have the magnetics and you still have the voltage field. So the B field or the H field and the E field are still there, but the hotspot is minimized because it doesn't reach the end of the dipole and then have to reverse tracks. And it's like if we all rode the whip at the when we were kids at the what am I trying to say, at the carnival. Thank you. Right. And that's basically what a dipole is doing.
Yeah.
The electrons they're running down one end, and then they're immediately, when they get to the end, they're immediately reversing direction.
Yep.
That's a dipole. But if you have a quad, they go to the end and then they turn 90 degrees.
Interesting.
So you end up having a lot less of this corona discharge.
Yeah. On this image here with the quad, are the is it just these whip-like elements out? There's nothing connecting the tips.
No, those are separators.
Yeah.
Oh.
Those are separators. That's just the rib cage.
Gotcha. Those aren't the elements. So the elements are wires.
Wires.
Yes, so it's a wire loop, and
Got
on each side is a quarter wave.
Okay.
So
nice.
so electrically, the layman looks at it and says it's a full wave loop, a quarter on each side. Electrically, what it's doing, depending on where you feed it, it's really two parallel radiators, and you have a quarter wave spacing between them, and you have a quarter wave transmission line feeding the opposite phase.
Mm-hmm. So is this the same concept of, say, taking two V-shaped, like two whips, like Dawn has, without the wire on the top? So it's not a loop, but two.
Yes, it is.
Two whips.
Yes, it is a loop.
And then separating it and two more whips. It's the same type of phasing, or no?
No, it only in the sense that it's a loop. What you're talking about is a delta loop.
Yeah,
which is still a loop, but it has three sides.
Yep.
And
the more round the circumference, the physically smaller it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it is.
Yeah.
But this is the way that the engineers solved the coronal discharge from eroding and burning the tips of the antenna.
Wow.
So it doesn't apply. It doesn't apply if you're doing 500 watts, but if you're pushing 10,000 watts, you bet it does. Especially in a low pressure atmosphere, high up on a mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul, pull up the picture that I dropped in the private chat. It shows a cubicle quad. It's a huge one, but it's a better where you can see the wires.
It's got more. Okay, yeah, now I can see the wires.
Yep.
Wow. If you can.
Yeah, so I just want to put that up in my backyard.
This is where the quad came from.
Yeah. So it kind of reminds me, like if you take a single, what is it called? Like a cobweb antenna and orient it like this, it's kind of that concept, but then you are phasing it with all of them. Correct?
Yeah. It's a tuned dipole. Think of it as a tuned dipole. They're all different lengths.
Yeah.
So the
gotcha.
So the signal is going to find the easiest path. Electricity is lazy.
Yeah.
It's going to always find the easiest path around.
So each one of those is not the same length. They're all literally tuned on different bands.
Yeah,
correct.
That's a multi-banded one.
Okay, gotcha. My mind was thinking they're all tuned. They're all the same length, and they're working together. Okay, all right.
Right.
Yeah, there are some guys that swear by cubicle quads. They're very large when you put them up, like on a tower or something.
Yeah.
But boy, are they effective.
Oh, I'm not even sharing it. Sorry, guys.
Oh, they are, Don. Quads are awesome.
Yep.
Let me share the screen, and then you guys will actually see.
You've got the gain, even if it's one a loop, you end up having two radiators working in parallel. So it's like having two sticks, like we see Walt do or an AM broadcast station do. And now you're phasing a reflector behind it.
Yeah.
And then you've got directors in front of it. So you've got the benefits of a Yagi, but a Yagi only is a dipole. This is two vertical radiators or horizontal. Doesn't matter. Either way.
Yeah, sorry, everybody. I didn't have the right screen sharing there for a second. So this is the one we were just talking about. So each one of these is different lengths of wires.
Each loop is tuned to a specific band.
Yeah.
And and like Hollywood said, there will be a director and reflectors, and also, so that's why you got 4 of those there. And those, if I'm not mistaken, it's just like a Yagi where you have the director in the back is slightly larger than the 2 reflectors, and then the driven element is exactly tuned for the frequency.
Exactly.
Is it deaf on the backside like a Yagi?
It's supposed to be, yes. If it's built properly, yes.
Deaf, but you know
and that brings up a good point, because I hear this a lot. Oh, I'm hearing you on the backside of my beam, and you're only 3 dB down. Then your beam's not working right.
Yeah.
Because there should be a 15 to 20 dB loss.
Right. On the backside of the beam. By design.
And, Yep. And I can tell on mine, I for some reason, in one direction, there's something out there that I'm picking up. But boy, when I swing it the other way, it just goes quiet.
On your hex?
Yeah, on my hex, yeah. The Delta loop, I mean, is noticeably quieter than any of my other antennas. And that was the reason, like when I was working Callum that time, I tried it on the DX Commander and a couple of other antennas that I had, and I could not hear him. And when I switched over to the one that had that loop on it, he was coming in S5. And I mean, literally on the other ones, there was nothing.
Wow.
And then I was thinking, well, okay, I can hear him. I wonder if he can hear me. And he came right back to me. So I was really shocked. And I was only doing 100 watts. I didn't even have my amps fired up.
Well, I was hoping my Manigal had some kind of example of this, but I don't see it in phased or in loops.
And by the way, one of the things on the Delta is it's multi-banded. So I was able to tune 160 to 6 on that big thing that you were showing a minute ago with a tuner, obviously. And again, on every one of those bands, it is dead quiet.
I was trying to figure out that picture, what bands it covered.
I think that's 23.6. But there are guys that have built 40-meter or cubicles.
That's a 2 meter. That's a 2 meter connected to to a Baofeng HT.
Chuck KK6USY made a 2 meter quad.
Yeah,
really.
I had one on my roof. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And we've tried to get him to sell it, but because I mean, I saw that little segment that Frank did, of all the people that were talking about their thing, and there were a couple of guys that wanted to do EME or some of those kinds of modes, and having a couple of cubicles like this.
Look what I found.
Yep.
Yeah, run it.
There's one other thing. Before we model,
go ahead.
Just throw this out. Ted Robinson, K1QAR, and I dropped the QRZ link in the private chat. He is the master of mag loops. The master. This guy does that loop right there. Does 75 meters.
Wow.
Okay. He really knows his stuff. You should consider having him on as a guest because. I mean, I can describe, and he rebuilds R390s like, there's no tomorrow. He collects them. Yeah. So, you were right in the beginning when you commented about the mag loop being very, very low impedance because it's a DC path. All antennas, all loops are LC circuits. So. So you've got a high current draw. You have to be super careful about any losses. I mean, a hundredth of an ohm means the difference between how much power it can handle and how wide is the Q and all of that jazz. So yeah.
I mean, it looks like
I think
might have
Ted's
an
been on
interview
several YouTube videos also.
This looks like that loop there.
Yes.
Well, that's the cap that's on it. And
right.
Okay.
One of
him there.
That's Ted on the right.
Okay, I'm going to drop this link and then y'all can search for him later. But here's at least one. Get some information on one of his interviews. He has 2 links on his QRZ, but there's one of them. So definitely check him out. Let's see. Hey, where'd it go? K1QAR. If y'all are interested, check him up on QRZ, and he's got another link there.
Yeah, and another type of loop too is I've had a couple of them when I was running a high noise floor. It's the receive only loop, and those have a cap on them. They're so wide banded you can receive on pretty much any band, and they're quieter and they have the null. Now, to me, I don't understand how you work it without a tuner, but you don't. Those are simply really wide banded receive loops.
Let's see what this one looks like on 20 meters. I'm just doing a free space. I like seeing the full pattern without ground. Might take a second. Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I love that. I just love these 3D patterns, man. It's just so cool. And it shows you exactly what it's doing.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
It's just punching a big.
It's just punching the air is what it's doing.
It's like a Dragon Ball Z fireball or whatever they call those.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But look how quiet it is on the backside.
Yeah, look at that.
Yep.
Now, Hollywood, with this one, it looks like there's a null here through this base element, right? Is that correct? If I'm looking at that right?
Well,
let's
the
see if I
null
can-
is just at the back. You've got a little,
Isn't
dimple
this
where
the
the
whole
optic
thing
nerve
here?
connects. But
Okay, so it's this whole back part. I always thought nulls had to be dipped in.
no,
So it's just
no.
on
It
this,
just,
it's just a color
means that
coded
there's.
thing.
It just means there's less dB. Most of the signal is going in one direction.
Gotcha. Okay, that's pretty cool.
That's a crazy pattern. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's the big eyeball.
It shows you how efficient it is.
Here's looking at you.
Right.
This is Sodomon before he was destroyed by. Okay, anyway, enough tomfoolery. That's just another example on Mamanagal. It's always fun to play with y'all.
So the benefit is that you can pump oodles of power and you can focus that beam. The drawback, and it's a big one, is that they are fragile. They are weather fragile.
Yeah, I can see that.
Even an 11-meter beam, a quad, a 2 or 3 or 4 element quad, in New England snow, forget about it.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put one of those up here in Wisconsin. It gets too cold and ice and snow. Forget it.
Right. Totally.
Well, even like Hollywood's talking, their weather on them, even out on the West Coast with the winds and stuff.
The wind.
They don't last in the high winds out there either.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That's why you will see them on 2 meters made out of PVC, but you won't see, a 30 or 40 meter quad.
Are they?
They're enormous.
Are they high Q, Hollywood?
No, they're not. They're not high Q, and they're 100 ohm at the feed point.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I had thought that I'd heard that one of the big advantages as well is they're not high Q.
Right. But they don't have that corona discharge like a Yagi does. That's the big benefit. A little bit more gain, and they can handle gobs of power.
Yeah.
Way beyond what we're licensed to use.
This comment this guy put right here makes me want to read this article now. Okay, Yagi owners. See, I bashed it a little. You guys happy? No? Okay, well, then you're not going to like this either.
Right.
I'll have to read that later. Interesting.
The
So what's
Avanti,
not true,
the
James?
PDL2 was big.
Yeah.
James, what's not true?
What's going
on? James is saying something.
Something that James said. No, and actually, I'm waiting for the ice and snow to melt off my roof. I'm actually taking a 4-to-1 on and over 130 some odd feet of wire and tracing my roof for my new HF antenna. That's actually something Ziggy wanted me to
The
try.
good part about a loop.
That'll be the next.
The good part about a loop is you
Go
can
ahead.
put DC through it, and we often did, to melt the ice and snow.
Yeah.
You'll see that. You'll
Yeah, I
see
gotta
that on
get
a
up
big
there for
shortwave
Hollywood.
station on a rhombic which is a sort of a loop. You put DC through it, or 60 hertz AC. You melt the crap off, and then you feed it the RF, and you go.
Here's another one. I'll just do screen.
But
change.
you can't
Here's
do that
another
on the
one.
Yagi or a dipole.
This is the one. This is the call sign James put in chat. This is the QRZ page. He's got an example of it right here.
Yeah.
Nice setup. He shows the whole putting it all together and everything. Look at that.
Wow.
Does it say where he is?
He's in Oklahoma, right?
No, it was LU.
No, this guy.
He's in Norway.
I don't want to put the address on there. LA4UOA if you want to pull it up on QRZ.
Yeah, I just meant.
There is no address on it, Paul.
There isn't?
It just says he's in Norway.
Oh, let me double check. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah, America hasn't learned the concept of keeping people's information private.
Well, if you log off, you won't see it.
Go check that. That's true. Go check that. Check that out. Man, look at that tower. They're building it right there.
I'm gonna put
Or the-
one up this weekend.
That's why
That
we're
looks
getting
like
Peter
a
Box.
thick tower.
Jimmy, you're putting one up this weekend, all right?
Yeah.
Let
You know,
me
I might just
We'll
do two. I'll just do two of them.
just live stream it.
Yeah, it's no big
Yeah.
deal.
30,
So,
40 minutes. top.
Wow,
put a little
you-
double edge on it so the HOA would enjoy it.
Yeah, they'll love it.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, so that the one that little mag loop I put in the thumbnail, that's Alpha Loop's new what did he call it? Stealth mag loop, I think. And it's just an extra coax if
Yeah.
you've already got the MCOM mag loop. You just attach it to that instead of the 40-meter element or 10 through 40-meter element. And it's about 9 inches in diameter ish. And that thing, when I was testing it, was so the queue on it was so narrow. I had to just barely touch it, and I'd check SWR and it would move. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is extremely difficult to get right exactly where you want it. But
They're often 3 kilohertz wide.
yeah,
The
it was
bandwidth of your transmitter is
Uh-huh.
wider than the queue of
definitely.
the mag loop on a
Definitely.
small mag loop. The larger the mag loop, the wider the queue.
Now, here's what was great about it was extremely quiet when I compared it to my inverted V and vertical that was outside. Just noise, just listening to noise. It was so much quieter. Again, it may not get as far. You can't pump the power out of it. You can in my Hustler. I can do full 1500 watts on the Hustler, not this, but it has a place, just like any antenna. You could set this up and most people wouldn't even know what you're doing. It's so small. On the little tripod legs are like 9-10 inches, and I put it on a tripod itself just to get it out higher. But so there's a place for mag loops. I love them out my windows in hotels. I don't have to hang a wire out there, which I actually did initially until management came in, asked me what the heck was this wire hanging out my window, so I had to stop using a wire. They're great for POTAs, portable. Like I said earlier, I've seen guys taking them up for sodas because they're lightweight, easy to set up, and it has the tuner built in because of the capacitor. So
They also
in my
seem
opinion,
to radiate well close to the ground, whereas a dipole and a Yagi, you have to get it, a quarter wave or a half wave
Yeah.
up in the air.
Yeah.
But a mag loop, you
Yeah.
can put it, 2 feet above the ground, and it works very well.
yeah, that's a good point.
What about a cubicle? How does that have a height requirement?
Have a what?
Oh, height requirement. A cubicle quad. Does it have a height requirement?
Oh, what do you say, Hollywood?
Sort of, because it's you've got a wire that's straight, that's parallel to the ground. If it's a loop, the contact area to the ground is minimal. But if it's a quad, you've got a quarter wave that's inducing a current in the ground, in the lossy earth below it.
So is it a half
So
wave?
it doesn't have to be as the altitude doesn't have to be as high as with a dipole or a Yagi. It's somewhere in the middle on a cubicle quad. It's less affected, but the least affected is the mag loop.
Mm.
I mean, I've heard Ted say many times that thing he can run that antenna 2 feet off of the ground and make fantastic contacts with it. And I know everybody says, well, I'm making contact. Yeah, but that's with FT8. No, he's using sideband.
Yeah.
And he's pushing like 800 watts into the thing. And it'll take it.
Right.
Oh, yeah, this is
Jeez.
big. This guy knows. So
Yeah. The
Send 3 Chris. Chris had to leave for work.
he
Okay.
had 15 kilovolt or 15,000 volt capacitor on that
Yep.
one that you were showing a minute ago.
Yeah,
Those are the ones that you have to end up ordering them from Russia.
yes.
They are expensive, but again, you get a lot out of them.
So here's
And
here's
make sure
predominantly
you
how I use my mag loop. Go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
no, I was saying make sure you have it in a case when you're dealing with that level of voltages and amperages.
Oh, you don't get around them. Those are not ones like what Paul has that you sit
Yeah.
next to. I've heard you don't You don't want to be
Yeah.
close to them.
I've seen one of those at a ham meeting.
Yeah.
And the word lethal was used multiple times when he was talking
Yep.
about it.
Well, I mean, 15,000 kilovolts in the capacitor. Yes, you don't want to.
I've also heard they're very sensitive, like you're saying. You don't want to sit by them either.
Yeah, generally, like the big one, and I think that I think I saw that on his. He's got a remote tuner, so he doesn't have to stand out there next to it.
Correct.
That would be the big upgrade. I always thought, and some of the companies provide those, and I'm sure people make them. But that would be a big thing to have, because then I could set it away from me, run 100 watts on this loop you're seeing in my picture. This goes up to 100 watts SSB, and I wouldn't have to go over there and tune it if I wanted to change bands.
Yeah, and definitely don't tune it while you're transmitting on even on 100 watt.
I was going to say, I don't even want to sit close to a 100 watt mag loop. I can
So, yeah,
imagine.
so this is how I use mine predominantly is I leave it in Japan, and I set it out this way. The nulls are up and down. And on the inside, of course, the coax would hold it, but on the inside, I have my backpack kind of holding it on the tripod so that it doesn't fall out. And now this is Alpha's first one, and you can't see it, but on the top side is the tuning knob, which was not a good design, because your hand is inside the loop, and it does mess with the SWR. You pull your hand away. Oh, wait, it was just tuned. Now it's not. And you kind of had to play with it. They and Chameleon and most of them now put the tuning knob on the bottom or on the front. But I would tune it. And the way you tune this is the loudest noise on the frequency, right? You get a loud noise, and then you're pretty close. If you just want to eyeball it or earball it, if we want to call it that, you'd move your VFO knob till you get the loudest noise, and that's going to be closest to tune. I would use my rig expert and make sure it's tuned, and then I'd just sit down and close the window a little bit more and sit down in the hotel, and I'd operate. Yeah. And from Japan, I was hitting Russia and China, of course, and Korea, which are close, Philippines. So, and I'm limited to 50 watts in Japan, so I was not doing more than 50 watts. But that's just another use for it. This is how I used mag loops for the most part.
They got the funky rules there. He has to be a resident at a residence of his own to be able to do 100.
Yeah, but I like what Japan does, because I like the power level thing, because it allows everybody on all frequencies, and the incentive to get the next or the top license is that, you know what, I want to pump out max power. I don't want to do 10 watts or 20 watts or 50 watts. So, but you can use it so everybody can use every frequency. I kind of like that method.
Yeah, most of the world does that method. We're the ones that restrict what frequency you can go on. You get your foundation license in the UK, and every frequency open to hams is open for you, but you're limited to 5 watts. And then, it's about power. The higher the class license, the more power you get.
Yeah.
Well, James, put that in the Discord for live stream topics, so that it's there and I can remember. K5YAC.
And now let's talk about Skyloops. We all have for that, right?
No, Don, we don't.
So who has anybody
Don? Yeah, you're the only one who's got the land to put up the Skyloop.
No, I think Doug does. Doug has some land, I think.
Doug has land.
Or else he's got a downtown open door policy on his condo there.
Well, Paul, we could put up a Skyloop. It might not be for a very low band, but we could put up a Skyloop. My only problem is I don't have no trees.
Yeah, I only have one in the front yard. Here's what I have thought of doing. Now, Ziggy has helped me. We've been talking about this for a long time. I want to get my roof is overdue to be replaced. I've got a leak in it now from one of the idiots who put in my solar panels. They didn't seal it or something. It's kind of dripping a little bit when it rains. But once I get my roof done, I'm gonna put up what Ziggy has kind of. He looked at Google Maps and said, "Do this pattern." It ended up being like 200 and something feet of just that little thin wire that he uses. So I want to put that up at some point. But I also thought I could run a triangular delta loop with the point at the front of the house running down to the back 2 points of my backyard fence. I'd have to disconnect it so that we could actually use the fence gate and get in and out. But I could make it to where it's easily connectable. And I could have, it would be kind of a sloper though. I don't know how efficient that would be, but I will eventually have a loop on my roof, thanks to Ziggy's planning for me. And I'm looking forward to having that. So.
Yeah, and I've thought about doing it because I think I've got enough room in my yard. I could do a square loop. If I put poles up in each corner against my fence, I don't have to worry about HOA or anything like that. I just don't have anything to get the wire up in the air.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And I have the HOA to worry about.
I use top
longer is better and higher is better. Don't cut it
To a
to
degree.
length. Make it longer than one wavelength. And I'd recommend feeding it with balanced line and a balanced tuner.
Yep.
And it'll play everywhere.
And they don't make remote balanced tuners, unfortunately.
The Blue Ridge Mountain is one. You can take any tuner and remote tuner and put a balun in front of it and float it, and it will be balanced out.
But I'd like to get one where you run the ladder line all the way into the tuner.
Yep.
But in fact, one of the things, and I've joked with Ape about this, is that getting a remote, or a remote meaning one, out by the antenna that you can feed ladder line into, doesn't exist. So,
but I used to float an AH4 feeding a loop, and that worked just fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm running a doublet right now, and I've got a 1-to-1 at the end of the ladder line. I've got 225 feet of ladder line.
Yep.
And then I run that from that balun into the shack, so about another 20 feet or so.
Yep.
And that's the one.
The key. Keep the coax short.
Yeah, I'm running 160 meters on it right now. 160 is just fun. Now I'm only doing FT8 because I don't hear anybody on sideband. But
is that the doublet that you just had to repair, Don?
Yep. Well, that one was working. Yeah, I repaired it. I had a video on repairing it where literally the splice that I had just fallen apart, and so all of a sudden it wasn't tuning. And I thought, oh man. So I introduced the video. Oh, I'm going to have to go out and figure out what this is. And I walk out, and half the ladder lines laying down because it just the little thing I was using for strain relief popped. So now I think that thing that Chuck designed is probably going to be the better way to splice ladder line, because there is no. I didn't find any ladder line splicing devices, and so I talked to Chuck about it, and because he's wanting to build a link dipole using Wago connectors, and I thought, well, hey, that's a good way to splice ladder line.
Yeah, that was the video Don put out. Was it Saturday or yes? I can't remember.
I put it out on Friday, and then Chuck was watching it. I watched it several times when I was doing it, but then when I rendered it, the last third of it just no sound at all. So I dropped that one off and re-rendered it, and it's fine now. So that re-render came out on Saturday.
That's always a pain. I've done videos and they're perfect, and then I had one that actually flipped the entire image upside down, like the last third of my thing. I had to take it back down and put it back up, and YouTube got tired of me deleting and re-uploading videos, so they kind of suppressed.
So my ladder line, I use 14 gauge Romex, and I use wire nuts, and that's it.
There you go.
Splice it all, because I'm right next to the ocean, so I get corrosion galore. And you just cut a piece off. If it goes bad, you scrape it down with some crocus cloth, clean it up, put the wire nut on it, you're good to go. There's no solder, because solder will fracture. Every time that thing flexes, that's a weak spot. You want it to be able to gallop. And copper is soft enough that it will do that. The steel core stuff, I think, is garbage. It's fine for maybe 40 meters and up. It is no good on the low bands. Anything with a steel core, we tell everybody, go in with a magnet. If it attracts from the magnet, don't use it on 160. You want solid. They don't sputter enough copper on the outside of that stuff anymore. They used to. They don't anymore.
Yeah, it's expensive now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect for
Until
20
it
meters
hurts.
and up.
Yeah, Chameleon has it. I think ICOM has one. There's a lot of those.
Yeah, I've seen
like
those.
just open wire, long wire tuners.
They used to have that one that was full legal limit too, Don, and it was remote, but I don't know if it would do what you're talking about.
Well, it would have
You're looking at around $400 for one of those in general, kind of an average.
That's the 100-watt version.
Yeah, that's just 100 watt.
Don doesn't do anything at 100 watts, so I was trying to.
Don's QRO is legal limit minus 1 watt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
$14.99.
Or maybe a couple extra.
It's
my
on sale.
160 meter so far. I'm just running that. In fact, I just got the Mark II. Mine came in the day after Paul's did. But that one I'm using on 160, and it's going through a 1500 watt tuner, but I don't have 1500 watts on it. It's just because that has the variable inductor or the roller inductor in it, and I don't know, those just tune so much easier with the roller inductor than that little click thing.
I found one that's a remote tune remote tune mag loop.
Yep, there are some
for the very low price of $9.99.
Yep.
They're not.
What you want to be careful of, though, is any mag loop that uses coax as the radiator, it's going to be lossy. It's fine for simple stuff, quick deployment, emergency antenna, great. But if you need to put any power through it, or you want it to have good efficiency, you can't use coax. You just can't.
Got to use the aluminum.
It's a physics thing.
Yeah, they
think.
I mean, even the one that MFJ sold was an aluminum pipe that is aluminumly welded together to make the loop. You have to have it. I mean, you can't measure it with people that don't know. You can't measure it with an ohm meter. Okay, we're talking milliohms or nano ohms. It is such a small amount. Your standard Simpson meter or a digital meter is not going to read it. It's going to look like a short, like putting the two leads together. In fact, the lead wires on the meter are going to have more resistance than your loop does, than your mag loop, I mean.
Here's an easy way to understand. This is not a transmit loop, but your gain for listening. So this minimum gain is that null through the donut, like I was saying earlier. Then your maximum gain for listening is this way as well. Same as your transmit, right? That kind of gives you an idea of it. But I have this loop as well. I don't know if I got it at an estate sale. The guy went silent key, and I got it for only a couple $100. And I got it with a what is it called, rotator as well. I don't know if I wasn't using it correctly or what, but it didn't seem like it listened as good as the Hustler. But the one thing I did notice was less noise as I moved it. So being able to control that noise is a big thing. And again, this is just a listening loop, an active magnetic loop. So.
Yeah, what you learn on those is you're not going to get anywhere near the receive capability of pretty much any other antenna. Mm-hmm. What it can give you, because it lowers your noise, is a higher signal to noise ratio.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what you're looking for, something where you can hear your signal over the noise. It's not that it's going to be a huge, I noticed on mine that mine would drop from like an S7, and I'm talking about the signal would drop to an S7 to an S5, but then your noise drops from like an S6 or 6 down to an S3 or an S3. And so you're hearing more of the difference between the noise and the signal, and that's what you want, because you always can crank that volume up.
Yeah, Scott.
Right. Correct. Don is spot on. You can always kick a preamp in. You can make up the difference in loss. It's not about how big the meter goes or how far it goes. It's the ratio of the signal to the noise. Always.
But I wanted to show this just because this is the kind that's made without the coax. So that's this thing withstands the weather, withstands everything. This is a solid loop made with the aluminum, not rods, whatever you call it. The loop is made out of tubing. Yes, thank you.
Aluminum pipe, I think.
But before I would spend, I got it for cheap, right? I think it was under 200. I can't remember. But before I would spend 800 for a listening loop, I would throw some wire up. I would just create a loop.
Do a loop on
wire.
ground.
A ground loop, yeah.
Yeah, there's one that's actually really, really effective, and it's called an MLA 30, I think. And it really, like, you can get them on eBay for $30 to $50, and they basically do the same thing as that loop does.
Yeah,
and they're very effective in terms of a receive loop.
I know a while back, Frank from Ham Radio Wilderness, I remember he did a ground loop, and he just followed around his front yard, around the cement, around his driveway, through the split between the driveway and sidewalk. And I need to see how that's been working for him. But I remember him putting that video out over a year ago. So
yeah, Josh did that too, and then I was
Yeah, he did.
about it. I asked him about it later. He said, "Oh, no, it broke." So he broke the wire, and it stopped. Now I've got one out in my yard where I have a huge section of land on the other side of the pond, and I literally went around that entire area there. But I did the same thing. I broke the wires.
Yeah, Dan WD4DAN. He's got a video where he's got a receive loop on the ground.
I saw that.
I've got I've got a video where I built one when I was up at the other place, and then I did one of the ham nuggets episodes with T.O. where we did it, where we were talking about receive loops or loops on the ground, and I actually demoed that on my Flex because back when I had the higher noise floor, you could really tell the difference again in the signal to noise ratio.
Let me throw this out. You know, for those that are watching at home that are not as geeky as us, they may not be hams, they may be shortwave listeners. Okay, we've all played with a handheld AM transistor radio. That ferrite rod antenna is a loop antenna. It works on the magnetic field primarily, and it is highly directional. It's bidirectional, but it has two big nulls, and you can use it to direction find.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they did that with Loran. Okay, so that's a receive loop antenna. It's very quiet, and they work great.
Here's one. Who was it that said that? Was it Jody? Yeah. VE5 SAR Hamnetics. Let me show you this one. I have this one as well. I think I did a video on it just to see how it was. If you're interested in just getting a very inexpensive listening loop, and this has SMA connectors. So if you've got a little radio that has the SMA port for an external listening antenna, just Google MLA -30. And you can get it at AliExpress, eBay, Amazon. I'm sure it's on all of them. Now that middle pipe in the middle, that's just a piece of PVC pipe. You provide that. It provides it's thinner than hanger wires, so it's very easy to bend. But that's a very simple. I think it's $25 to get a listening loop, or potentially if you've got an emergency radio with an external SMA like antenna port, like the one I have. This will probably work better than the little whip that's coming out that's 10 inches long.
Yeah.
So if you want to kind of start playing with loops in the listening area first and compare it with other antennas you have listening, you could pick one of these up for about, like I said, $25, MLA-30, and put a PVC pipe on it and test it out and see what it's like.
Those actually, and I think it shows it in there. Those have two ways of power. They actually require power because there's an LNA in there.
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah, you can. One of the things is you can use bias T.
5 volts, I think.
Yeah, well, it sends it down the coax, and like your RSP1As, etc. If there is a thing to turn on a bias, and it'll that. I've done that.
Yeah, this one actually is powered off USB. I remember. Here's the cable right here.
I think they can do both, even though he has that USB, because USB. I mean, that's fine, but if you want to put it outside, which is what I did, I actually put it outside on a pole, then I don't know, USB would be a fun thing to try to do for the same distance that you got that coax.
Yeah, you can get it on
That'd be an
BNC.
awful long run.
Looks like too. Yeah, that's a long USB cable unless you have an external.
Yeah.
Power source.
I guess you could put out a solar panel.
That's
set
up to 41. Man, that's gone up.
To charge a battery through USB.
You can get it on Amazon too, Paul.
Yeah, I dropped one in the private chat, a link to one. I think it's $36.
Let me see if I can find the one that I haven't tested yet.
Put that one in the main chat.
And then we'll start winding it down. I don't want Chrome as my default. Stop asking me. I don't want a free gift from AliExpress. Stop asking me.
Oh, but
it will.
It never will.
And then when you do it on your phone,
Amazon
it says,
was
"Oh,
43.
install the AliExpress mag loop." Oh, that's a different mag loop.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, this is it right here. I've got this one, and I have yet to do a video on it. It's very cool. It's almost like flexible tubing from like a 3D printer, a little bit bigger than filament. The wire inside that blue, and then just plugs in. So I haven't tested it yet, and I got the Mark II now, the ICOM, and it's got the SMA listening ports on the back, and another one I learned today with Jimmy as we're looking at it. It has 2 ports. The input for this antenna that's got an output, so I can connect my RTL SDR and keep that connected as well, which I thought I was going to have to disconnect. So this is another one to test. Again, I haven't tested it yet. Excuse me, but it's called the U loop. I remember now that I see it. The U loop. Very simple, very cheap, probably an easy way to get into just listening loops.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
I believe, that is coax that's in there that's made out of. So
I think this one's just a wire, isn't it? Or is that actual coax?
No, did you click on that thing that you just looked at and you'll see
There's a
there's
wire.
wires.
I just thought it was a wire inside of blue tubing or something, but I could be wrong. It could be coax, yeah.
Was it like 174 type coax or something?
Something like that. Or
Yeah, it's extremely small. It's about the size. It's a little bit bigger than 3D printer filament.
And I did have one of those. I never got it. It never worked well for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at that price, I don't think the coax is going to be very good.
Yeah.
I know they're using the shield. They're using the outside of the coax as a loop. It's a semi-rigid
gotcha.
coax. At least that's the one that I have.
Is that why they say it's 2 element here? Where did that picture go?
Yes, because it's a loop within a loop. It does 2 passes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense now.
The one that I tried to use that. The one that worked well for me was the MLA 30.
Yeah.
Now, when you say that it's easy to like reshape it, that was the hardest part of that antenna.
Right.
Thank you, Dell.
The other one, Paul, to look at is go and Google Jerry Ellsworth on YouTube. Okay. She did there's a series, there's definitely one where she's reading the current and the voltage nodes on the loop.
Oh yeah,
Sitting right
here on
next
the front. Let me drop that in.
And that's really very visual. It's very good for the person learning about antennas and currents and voltage and why. Why is it there at that point?
Yeah, see, here's an example of there are smarter people than I that knows how these things work. I am simply the messenger bringing the topic up to discuss it. And I've used them and I enjoy it, but I don't understand it anywhere near what Hollywood or people like this, Jerry Ellsworth or other people understand it. So check that channel out.
Yeah, Jerry used to be real active in the ham community.
Yes.
And I haven't heard from her in a long, long time.
Yep.
He's got right here, build a 160/80 meter magnetic loop. And it doesn't even look that big. Copper tubing, I think. Interesting. I'm gonna have to watch that one.
That's an 8-year-old video too. She hasn't put a video out for like 2 years.
Yeah. This is what it looks like. So click that link and check her videos out. Looks like she's got some cool information.
Yeah.
KB9RLW or is it K9RLW? he's got some videos on it,
Yeah.
on loops, and he's even got one that's called a spiral loop, which we haven't even looked at. But a spiral loop literally is a piece of wire that runs around and around and around in a circle to get up to. You can go up to 160 meters. And again, the thing on the bottom, you put a variable capacitor at the bottom of it. And I actually even have after seeing his video, I went and got some tubing and made some holes and got it, I just never actually put it up to try and use it. But I really want to play around with that spiral loop again.
It's really interesting. All antennas are LC circuits. They're all tank circuits, and even a dipole is a closed system. It is a loop, even though it's not a DC loop. And that's the thing. When I was teaching, my kids would but that's not where does it go? How can it? It's open. It's a wire, and it doesn't go any. No, it does. And if you go through it, and you can see how it is a loop.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and start shutting this down. Yeah, Hollywood, I know, and we can always, there's always other nights, and we can do more conversation about this stuff. I still need to get Hollywood's going to help me finish putting my D104. Well, let me show you for those who don't know.
Pretty much, Dale.
D104 lollipop.
D104 astatic. I put it back together so you can't see, but he directed me to a guy who sells an updated audio board inside here, and I've soldered the board on, but there's like 500 wires that I still got to deal with. That Hollywood is going to help me sometime know what to do with the
whenever
rest of
you're
the
ready.
wires.
I used to modify these things. That's how I started.
Yeah,
Hollywood. Does
I
that
gave
work
Bob
with
Heil a little run for his money. Said it was fun.
Does that work with the actual element that comes with the D104? Or do you need to
Say
change the
again?
element?
No, I
Does
did
that
not
board
change
work
the element on purpose. No. I changed. It's an FET preamp, but it's my own design, and it is broadcast quality. It goes down to 30 cycles.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
There.
And I like the fact that you did not change the element of the D104.
Correct.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
the
my element's-
original element is fantastic if it has not been destroyed by heat or vibration, or the glue separates. I bought the last set from a static, the last set of elements.
Oh, really?
Before they went belly up.
Oh man.
I've just always liked this I almost said antenna. I just think this is an amazing. Just the style. I like the style. I like the look. It's just cool. So I got one.
My first
at their top, they were the cream of the crop when it came to
Yeah.
my first radio was a TS520S back in 1991.
Me too, Don.
And when I bought it, they said, "Oh, and here's your microphone," and they gave me one of those, and it worked great.
I love mine.
Really?
See, that's I always disagreed with Bob, and Bob was a very smart man when it came to audio. And my first run-in with him was actually in the music world, but I always disagreed with him that you had to change that element for a D104 to get it to work properly.
Yeah, Scott, if you're interested, just contact Hollywood, and he'll. I didn't go that method because I don't trust my skills in building it. So I went with another option that he said is very good as well. And we can make that another video. Maybe when he could come on with me, and we'll do a stream on
All
finishing this
with
one.
the phase rotator in it.
And a phase rotator. Ooh.
That's another deep dive.
Yeah, so that's what we need to do is we'll do a stream, or it doesn't have to be tonight. We'll figure out what works for you, Hollywood, and then we'll just talk about astatics and audio and processors and all that kind of stuff.
Magnificent.
Yeah, audio.
All right. Everybody, your channels are PRK Radio, Getting Out in Life, Hillbilly Ham, WTF Radio, Don, the infamous chat troll, is not in his YouTube channel. That's his just live stream name. N5SKT Don and Douglas V Amateur Radio and more all have YouTube channels. I think most of y'all know. So please go subscribe. Thanks everyone for joining. Hollywood, thank you so much for jumping in.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for lessons.
Thank you,
Hollywood is someone
Yeah.
that you will
I enjoyed
always
it.
learn something. And it is never useless information. It is always something good. So thank you, Hollywood.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Hollywood.
having me.
Yes, thanks for Hollywood.
Great.
If you guys want to hang around after, feel free to log off after I end it. Otherwise, this is it. This is your chance to say your goodbyes.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Have a great week. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to end it like that. It worked fine in my tests before. Obviously, Restream has some issue, and so this is it. I will be changing back to StreamYard. So we're going to close it.
The first time you did that, Paul, it worked fine.
It started doing this in the last 3 to 4 weeks. So
yep,
and it royally crashed this time.
Yeah, it did.
That does not run off my computer. That video is uploaded. Your outros and intro videos are uploaded to Restream's center, and it runs from their center. It should not be choppy.
Yeah,
so I don't know what's going on.
It's a computer overload on your side, but
nope. It runs. This is me running it from my computer, and so this is how we're going to end the stream. We're going to go full screen to me, and we're going to end it this way. And you'll be able to still hear us. Because I want everyone to know that their name is here and that you're appreciated. All your support for the channel, it's gone. I didn't know it could get like this, so I appreciate everybody's support. Razorbacks, 3 months you get a free shirt. Hogs, 6 months you get a free shirt. Piglets, 10 months you get a free shirt. And that's it, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
There it is. Look at that.
Yeah.
There's the new. There's the new
There goes
thing.
the
That works
tank.
perfect.
And thank you so much, everyone.
of course, Hank got to drive over all of it.
That tank has to walk on everybody.